Okay, so I can finally clean this out with some compressed air and give it a nice dust out. I've unplugged everything in here so that nothing goes wrong with the fans if they somehow did reverse or whatever. I'm not sure how I'm going to be able to film this with one hand, but it is what it is. I'm going to get the air compressor started up. Ugh. Pretty gross. It's pretty hard to record most of this on the camera, so I kind of just skip a bunch of it. You get the idea. I'm gonna finish the rest of this with both my hands. Well, I'd say most of the dust is removed. It still looks kind of gross because of that, like, yellowy brown smoker dust sort of thing. So everything would need a really good wipe down to get that removed. But I don't really care about that right now. So I'm gonna see if this still works, of course, just in case. And we don't have the front panel on because it started raining for a second. So I took the PC back in. It's still a little bit wet. Okay. The optical drive is moving a lot. So we'll see about this turning on in a minute. I think it might be unhappy about the graphics card again. Let me reseat that a few times. I think some dust got in there. There's like the tiniest little dust speck in there, like here, that I'm having trouble getting out, which I think that's the culprit. Nothing from the integrator either, but I think I may have realized what went wrong. Earlier, I just kind of moved this thing earlier because I thought the fan would come off, but I think it's more like the socket, so I think I might need to reseat the chip. I'm gonna give that a try. Okay, I did reseat the chip, but I don't think that actually did anything because it still wasn't posting. I unplugged the RAM stick and then it was posted. So I might have just been stupid not doing that first. So it was a RAM seating issue, I believe, so I'm gonna try the graphics card again. I also need to take that cooler back off again later from new thorough paste and cleaning, but later. Yeah, it was a RAM seating issue, I believe, and now we're back. And I feel really, really dumb. But we got that out of the way. Now I'm gonna try the graphics card again. Yep, I think it was RAM. I don't know why I didn't start with the RAM. Stupid me. Well, that kind of sucked and was a waste of my time, but the good news is we didn't actually break anything. It does see my USB stick in here when I plug that in, so I think I might be able to boot off of that to install Windows 10. I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna see if I can enter setup, even though I don't have a hard drive plugged in. I just don't think I have enough RAM, but I just want to see if it'll even show up. Wait, it's actually entering setup? Okay, so I just went through part of the setup, and I'm actually able to get to here. So I think I might have been wrong in what I said earlier, and I think I can install Windows 10 on here anyway, as soon as I plug in a drive, of course. So I think I'm actually going to end up doing that now, even though I don't have new RAM yet. Well, maybe. I'm either going to install Windows 10 now, or I'm going to wait till I get some more RAM. Okay, it's future me. I've got new RAM, like I said. These are both 2GB6 of G skill. We're going to see if that posts. I replaced the thermal paste with what is probably the wettest paste I've ever had. It just like got everywhere, and now it's, yeah. I don't even know. But it's there, so it shouldn't overheat. I also found this drive, which I can wipe this, and I can install Windows 10. I might even try dual booting off of this, which might be funny. So we're going to see if this will turn back on post. Oh yeah, and install Windows 10, which turns out you did need 2GB for 64-bit version, but I know that now. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And hopefully that will work. I think this machine can support up to 8GB. It's like every time I touch this thing, I have to like do something to get the post again. It's so annoying. Okay, I did some RAM stuff. I have one stick installed right now, and we have it posted. I just need to get the other stick to work now. I'm also going to see my BIOS battery. I may pull that out of a random AIO. Will work in here and see if the battery still works. Alright, got both sticks in there. After reseeing this several times, it's posted with both. So now we can have 4 gigabytes, which should be okay-ish on Windows 10, which I'm going to install now. I'm going to install it on probably half of this drive. I might install something else on the second half. Probably. Let's get into it. Also seems like the BIOS saved it, so I think the battery works. Although now my keyboard doesn't work. That's interesting. I'm just gonna reboot this. Maybe it doesn't work. I don't know how it posted and said it showed up and then disappear. Okay, I've tried like a billion times and I managed to get it to post again. I cleaned the RAM a little bit more from the contacts or whatever. It seems like it's here. And this time the keyboard's responding, so I'm going to try to get to boot into the installer now. Be back in a sec. Alright, let's go for it. I could possibly try to get like a 5th gigabyte in here with those other 2 Acer sticks, but I feel like that's a dumb idea since these blue G.Skill sticks are better. Okay, it looks like it's loading. I think I'm gonna go for like an 80 gigabyte partition on this 160 gigabyte drive. This is pretty close to what would have originally been in here. Oops. Since this is probably SATA 2 or something. This is a 2006, 2007 drive. There's actually an install of Vista on here from like an old Acer PC. But that install is not valuable. So I'm just gonna like install Windows on here. Maybe I'll dual boot something else. It's taken me longer than it should have been to get to this point. Now hopefully we can just install it and it'll just work. Oh yeah, if all goes well, I'll actually mount the hard drive later, but I don't really care right now. And we can finally begin. I'm not even going to go through the whole setup. I'll just get to when we get to the desktop. Okay, so what I'm thinking I'm going to do 3 like installations maybe, and I'm just going to install Windows 10 on this like a 50 gigabyte partition, and we'll have 2 other 50 gigabyte partitions later, just later when I need them. Doing only 50 gigabyte partitions might be a bad idea, but I don't think I'll be using this machine enough for that to actually matter. So, get back to you when we get to the desktop. Okay, this is me like over a week in the future because I got lazy. We have our AMD 4200 Plus that just says 2.2 gigahertz as opposed to the 2.46 gigahertz as the sticker says. We have our NVIDIA GeForce 8400. I thought we had the GS for some reason, but we don't. There are 128 megabytes of DDR2. We have OpenGL 3.3, so it's not even completely useless, I guess. It looks like we have DirectX 10, though, which I'm probably not going to try many games on here. Our hard drive is still good from manufactured of 2006, 2007, and actually only has like a year of power on time. And this thing hasn't been living the best life beforehand, honestly. Not the best disk. This is one of my slower SATA drives for sure. I'm not sure what mode it's running at. It says supported mode 2, but I don't know what it's running at right now. Beats me. Probably not SATA 1. I mean, it could be. Some more information of other things according to CPU Z. You can read these if you want. I'm not going to. RAM is running at 800 megahertz, which is good. Why am I even clicking those? I think most drivers for things have kind of been installed by Windows, except for like audio, which this is an old HP product, so I'm not going to find it directly from HP, and I can't find it right now. So we're just not getting any audio today. And we're just going to start off with a YouTube test, I guess, which will be how long the browser takes to open. And sometimes the browser just decides to be white like this when you're in the middle of doing something, which is really annoying. It's also not focusing, which is annoying. Let's see how long it takes to load YouTube on here. A little bit longer than I was expecting. It's probably not going to do 1080p YouTube, that's for sure. I'm going to guess 720p at best. That is quite delayed, I'll say. There might be audio delays on here too, but I'm not able to tell because, well, you know, that is not going smoothly. I'll get back to this in a sec. I tried full screen the browser and it's not having a very fun time. Oh boy, that is bad. And it's trying to load at 480p, by the way, by default. Not very good. Oh, okay. We're back. Yeah, it's kind of freezing up a lot, and we're at like 480p. Oh no, we're down to 360p now. And it's struggling a bit. Okay, it seems to be better now. Kind of. Seems like the CPU is struggling a lot right now, actually. We're not having... Yeah, it's just CPU struggling. Is the CPU holding us back from YouTube right now? If I click at the bottom of the screen, does that stop? No. Yeah, that's bad. We're having the CPU limit the graphics card, I think. When I click on the bottom, though, it stops freezing up. Okay, so YouTube is not good, but you can kind of get away with it if the CPU decides to not be unhappy. This is 360p. I'd say that's barely a pass, but we're going to end that there. You could probably get some better YouTube performance sometimes, but I think the CPU is just causing it to be an issue, so we're going to stop that. I'm only going to be testing a few games, but one of the games I can test is this game called Crystal Realms, which is like some, I guess, indie sandbox game similar to like Terraria, Pixel Worlds, and Growtopia, apparently, which I've been playing for a while. It actually launches on this because it has enough OpenGL support. I think this game wants like OpenGL 3. This game's coming out not too far in the future. It is pretty laggy, but like in a window, you can kind of play it. As you can see, there is an FPS counter up here, which is like you're gonna see 30 or less, and if you go full screen, it's just gonna be bad. So you can't do full screen on this graphics card because it's just gonna lag like crazy. And there's no graphics settings for this game. And this is just like the hub world or whatever. I imagine like the dungeons are pretty bad too, but you can kind of get away with playing this. But the latency is kind of bad. But I'm gonna give this a pass. I could play like this kind of. And kind of the whole general web browsing is just very sluggish and slow because of that CPU being on like Windows 10 or whatever. Not great, but you can kind of get away with it sort of if you have patience. I guess we're going to play something on Roblox next because I don't know what else to test on a computer this low end. We're going to try Natural Disaster Survival with nearly full screen at like, this panel is 1920 by 1200, so it's going to be a bit of a struggle probably. That's pretty bad. This is pretty similar to when I used the Pentium G630, except that's actually kind of worse. But I think this game's been updated a bit more since then. Like, why is... That is bad. Oh my gosh. Seems to be playable in windowed mode, though, so... Yeah. I'll just end this bit here, but... You can kind of play the game, so... Good enough. Only other things I'm going to be testing today will be Bejeweled Twist, and I'm going to try to copy Bejeweled 3 off of here. And that's all I'm going to do, because I don't have any other ideas of what to test. The only thing I'd probably be testing would be maybe Minecraft, but modern Minecraft's just going to be so laggy on this thing, it's not ever going to be worth it. At least not on Windows 10. So, I'm not doing that today. I'm not even sure if the latest version runs on OpenGL 3.3, so... Yeah, no, I don't think I'm going to do that. If I was doing it on maybe Windows 7, I'd try some version, perhaps, which I probably will... I might give it a try of installing Windows 7, because like I'm saying, I think I'm going to triple boot if I can, just because I can. Because why not? What else am I going to do with this thing? I guess we'll see if this thing can read CDs as well. Probably will. Okay, I kind of got that in there, but I was holding disk in place because it's sideways. So we'll see. It's definitely trying. Yeah, it's spinning up. I think we're good. That sounds... Ooh. That sounds like garbage. My only light scribe drive and it sounds like that. You gotta be kidding me. But we have it working, so... Let's install this while it still works. Ugh. That sounds about as bad as the disk drive in the the pavilion with the G630 Pentium on it. It's definitely working, but it sounds bad. Okay, they ended up installing, even though it just sounds like garbage. I think our graphics drivers are from 2015, and it doesn't show a GPU in this task manager section, even when I like looked. It just doesn't show up. So I think the graphics drivers are old enough that it should work with 3D effects and stuff. I think. And maybe up to 1200p. Well, we're already launching in full screen. That's a good sign. And the scheme ran on basically anything anyway. So, yeah, I think we're good. It should run pretty smooth. Unfortunately, I can't hear anything, though. Because no audio drivers, I don't know where to get them right now. So, we're just not doing it. Yeah, that's just working on the highest settings right off the gate. And I'm sure this will run just fine. Because this game's from, like, what? About the same time as this computer. 2008, 2009, something like that. So, yeah. Yeah, this is going to run just fine, I'm sure. But I'm going to test on a couple more intense, like, levels, I guess. Some of the backgrounds for this game can be more intense, but I also don't have the... Wait, I can enable an FPS meter, I think. One of these function keys does it, right? Okay, no, it does not show FPS, but there's some random debug stuff up here, which, whatever. And this seems to be a DirectX 9 game. Okay, let's see how it handles this. Yeah, that's perfectly smooth and fine. This is better than trying to do what I was doing on, like, that Core Duo with the GMA 945 Express graphics or whatever it is. Yeah, this is just flawless, I believe. Yeah, actually, I'm not even going to bother trying to get to like one of these more intense backgrounds because it's just going to run fine. You don't need FPS for this game really anyway. So that's the end of this test. We're going on to Bejeweled 3. Let's see if this will open. I got to open my laptop before, even by copying it like that, so... Yes, it does seem to open. I did not sail the seas for this. It just let me copy it off of Steam, and it just worked for some reason. But I couldn't copy Bejeweled Twist files and get it to launch, but why does Bejeweled 3 work? I have no idea. It even has a Steam folder in it. It just works. And this looks like it's going well, too. It did default to normal, though. I'm going to see if I can put it on Ultra. I don't care. It reduces the performance of the game. And the window closed. It's just reopening. I guess. I didn't think that was going to happen. Okay. Got a high-end video card? No, we don't. We have a card that was already 2 years old when this game came out. And it was bad then. But we don't care. And this menu also still exists. I think we're also not running on 60 Hz. We're losing 1 Hz. Oh no. I think this is also a DirectX 9 game, probably. Okay, that menu lagged a bit. Yeah, that's a bit laggy. I know how this works. I can definitely see some lag, but like, so far this seems fine. I'm gonna wait till the next like menu or whatever. And I do gotta say, being able to play this in 1200p looks really good. It's unfortunate this is my only like 1200p screen. It's in my basement right now. I don't really have space for anywhere else for my other hardware that can play this game properly, because once you get to like a certain point, I think it's like drivers sort of beyond like 2015-ish or something, whenever it just shows GPU and like Task Manager, like some of these classic PopCap games just don't work properly anymore, and you have to play it on like the lowest resolution without any 3D effects, and it just looks like garbage. Not to mention that 1200p is like usually the highest resolution, which you know, most people don't have those as a resolution. Most people have like 1080p, not 1200p. But it is what it is. And here's the next menu. Let's see how this lags, maybe. Actually, that's pretty smooth. Okay, loading that bit of the level was laggy, but yeah. Alright, I give this a pass. And everything's on. It is a bit laggy sometimes in these transitions, but does that matter really? Not really. It's just a shame that YouTube's just like bad because the CPU sometimes. I think the GPU has a bit more to give, although I can't exactly tell. I'm not sure. Well, I think that's gonna do it for our Windows 10 installation video on this HP Pavilion, which we also dusted out. You will be seeing this machine again because I'm probably going to try installing Windows 7, and I might even try giving Linux a try on this thing. I have no idea what I'd be doing in Linux or Windows 7, honestly, or where to get drivers. I mean, not for Linux drivers, but Windows 7 drivers if I tried that. Because I don't even know where to get drivers for this thing because it seems obscure. But that's going to do it for this Windows 10 installation video on here on our 50 gigabyte partition, which, that's enough. I'm not going to need that much space, honestly. Especially since I don't have sound. This can't be used for much media right now. So I don't care. I think that's going to do it, guys. You will see this thing again soon. See you later.